Hey everyone, welcome back to the workshop. Artisan Pirate here, and in today's fun scroll saw project video, have a beautiful Valentine's Day theme designed by Steve Good. The season of love is here, my friends. Keep in mind, it's one of his older pattern offerings, so you might have to go back in the catalog and search for this design if you guys would like to try it out in your garage or workshops. The pattern has been printed out to its full size, prepped, and attached to the material with clear packing tape. And here is all of the material we're going to be using in today's project. It doesn't take up much material at all. Everything you see here came out of the scrap bin, and then I got out my thickness planer and milled everything down to the proper thicknesses. For the main bulk of the scroll saw work, we're going to be using a piece of poplar that I milled down to a little over 1/2 inch in thickness. It has beautiful grain textures in it, and I just felt it would look great with all of the detail we're going to be cutting out in today's video. We have the word love in a nice big bold font. We have a heart representing the O. We have Valentine's Day love couple here, also encapsulated in a heart, and then the words Happy Valentine's Day down at the base. And if you are uncomfortable cutting out these small words here, you could of course leave these out and just cut out the top portion here. Once again, talking about a scroll saw pattern's versatility when it comes to how to use and interpret the patterns and designs you use. And for the base, I'm going to be using a 1/2 inch piece of aromatic cedar. It's a very simplistic base that will not take away from the beautiful scroll saw work. So you can already see a visual representation of what we are going to be cutting out in today's video. And when I was running the poplar material through the thickness planer, it started out as 1 inch thick, and I milled it down to this thickness. A knot developed in the word day here, so I'm going to be very careful when I drill out the pilot holes for internal cutting, and then I'm going to be especially careful over at the scroll saw. But poplar is one of my favorite materials to cut out over on the scroll saw. It cuts very smoothly, very cleanly, very crisply, so we will see how the pattern comes out once we get to that knotted section. Hopefully everything will turn out okay. As I say in all of my Valentine's Day videos, Valentine's Day is fast approaching, and that is the day that we celebrate love with our loved ones, our significant others, our spouses. But as I always say, love is meant to be celebrated 365 days of the year, from January all the way to December. And since everything is pretty much prepped and ready to go, let's move the camera over to the workbench and drill all the pilot holes required so we can come over to the scroll saw and start scrolling. And over here on the workbench, we are taking the Seiko scroller's drill and drilling out all of the pilot holes for internal cutting. And you will see that I have a backer board behind the scroll saw work to prevent blowout of the pilot holes on the reverse side. And there is several small internal cuts on this project due to the nature of all the letters that make up the quote at the base of the design. But I will get all the pilot holes drilled out here, and we will get ready to step over to the Rikon scroll saw to begin scrolling. Over here at the Rikon scroll saw, I'll begin with some of the smaller details before proceeding to the larger ones. That is the general rule of thumb when it comes to scroll saw projects. Always begin with the smallest internal cuts before proceeding to the larger internal cuts. For all of the scrolling on this project, I'll be using a number 5 Ultra reverse tooth blade, and it will cut through all of the material in today's project exceptionally well with minimal chip out. If you guys would like to try this pattern, it's available as a free pattern download over at Steve Good's scrollsawworkshop.blogspot.com website over in his free pattern catalog. And once again, the main bulk of the scroll saw work we are doing here is poplar that I milled down to a little over 1/2 inch in thickness. And poplar is one of my favorite materials to cut over on the scroll saw because it cuts so cleanly and smoothly. And as a matter of fact, it is my favorite material to make the compound cut custom keychains out of. But I am just going through here on the letters for Happy Valentine's Day, and we'll soon be switching to a closer view to where you guys can hopefully get a better perspective on me cutting out these small details. I'm doing what I always do, and I'm taking my time and letting the blade do the work, and I'm being as loyal as I can be to that cut line. The biggest part of the time you're going to have in the project is cutting out all of these letters at the base, But if you are uncomfortable with scrolling out all of these small details like I'm doing, you could of course leave this part of the pattern blank and not even cut out the letters and just cut out the Valentine's Day love couple and the word love at the top. Once again, showing off a scroll saw pattern's versatility for using it in creative and different ways. But I do have on my music. I have the wood stove on, and I have the heaters on me back at my little scroll saw area, and I'm just lost in my world of sawdust while I am cutting out this beautiful Valentine's Day design. And again, the main part of the time I had in this project was cutting out that quote at the base. But pretty soon we were doing the final larger internal cuts and getting that much closer to finishing the project. I'm now doing the final internal cut, which goes around the perimeter of the Valentine's Day love couple's heads, so I was as careful as I could be while cutting this piece out. I wanted it to look as nice as possible. But then it was time to retension the blade and release the scroll work from the waste wood, and that's just simply following that long outside perimeter cut line. If you guys like what you're seeing, I would highly encourage you to subscribe to my channel and also follow me across all my social media feeds under the Artisan Pirate name. I'd really appreciate the support. And once we get done with this piece, not all of the scroll saw work will be done. We will set this piece aside once we are complete and then pick up the piece of cedar material that we are using for the base. And it is a very simplistic design that doesn't take long at all to cut out. And it's a lot quicker cut because cedar is such a soft material. But after it was cut out, all of the scroll saw work was done, and over at the workbench we can remove the patterns from the material and the project from the waste wood and get our first visual of what the finished design will look like. But then it will be time for sanding with 180 grit Klingspor woodworking shop sandpaper in the vibrating palm sander. And I sanded the base, and then I was very careful sanding the actual scroll saw work here with small circular motions. But after it was sanded and cleaned up, it was time to glue the scroll work to the base, and I used medium grade CA glue and activator. And even though the glue basically dries and cures instantly, I still like to set the project aside for around 5 minutes to make sure that the glue grabs and bonds. But now it will be time for a finish, and for a finish I am going to use several coats of Rust-Oleum clear gloss. And I really love how it made the natural colors and grains of the materials pop. And once it dried, the project was complete. And here we have the completed Happy Valentine's Day piece, cut out completely over on the scroll saw from start to finish, and it finished up beautifully with some nice and crisp details in it and beautiful visuals for Valentine's Day. Thank you, Steve Good, for another fantastic design from your pattern catalog. Once again, it's one of his older pattern offerings if you guys would like to go and download it and try it out in your garage or workshops. But a lot of beautiful visuals in this nice compact design that can easily freestand on a shelf, desk, or countertop. And I'm really happy with how the Rust-Oleum clear gloss, that is the preferred finish I like to use, really brought out the natural grains, textures, and colors of the poplar and cedar material we used in today's project, and it give it that nice glossy sheen that I like for a finish. But really cool, a lot of great visuals in this small design here. Of course, you have the Valentine's Day love couple here in the heart leaning in for a kiss. You have the word love there, nice big and bold with the O replaced by a heart, and then you have the words Happy Valentine's Day there at the base, all in this compact design that can easily freestand on a shelf, desk, or countertop. It took me around 40 minutes to scroll the project out completely from start to finish. There is some very small, fragile, and delicate cuts in this project, so I did what I always do, and I took my time and let the blade do the work. And down here in the word day, you can see that knot I was talking about. I noticed it when I was prepping the material through the thickness planer. I was kind of concerned that it might damage the scroll work when we cut that piece out, so I was especially careful over at the scroll saw cutting it out. But it does add an added characteristic, and I always try to incorporate knots whenever I can in a scroll saw project, as long as it's not in a danger of damaging any of the delicate scroll work that you were trying to do over at the scroll saw, if that makes any sense. But I'm really happy with how this project come out, and as with all scroll saw patterns, there's always options and versatility. Of course, I cut this out of Poplar and Cedar, and I see no additional need to add any splashes of color, of stain, paint, or anything like that. But of course, if you wanted to cut this out of lighter material and cut it out of, you know, like a pine or something like that, and go in with acrylic craft paints and paint it or stain it with some Minwax wood stains, by all means you have the option to do that. But again, there's also options with the pattern itself. I think you could take just the Valentine's Day couple itself, cut that out separately out of some thinner material, maybe 1/4 or 1/8 inch thick, and use that as a cake topper. I think you could take the word love by itself and cut that out with the O replaced by the heart. And if you were uncomfortable with cutting out these small delicate letters there at the bottom, you could of course leave that blank entirely and just make it and display it like that. Or if you have a laser engraver in your garage or workshop, or have access to one, you could not cut out this quote, and you could also engrave maybe a significant date, the date of that year's Valentine's Day, or a date you met or married, or an anniversary. You could engrave a quote, a scripture about love, or anything like that. Or if you have access to a laser engraver like me and you still want the words at the base, you could of course laser cut them out of some 1/4 inch material or thinner to add a nice 3D element to the project that you have just cut out. So I always encourage people to think outside the box with each and every scroll saw woodworking project you come across. There's always option and always versatility. Of course, in a previous video we cut out the compound cut Love You block, and in today's video we made this beautiful design that doesn't take up much space and really doesn't take long to make, that you could hopefully go out in your garage or workshops and make a significant handmade gift to give to your loved ones and cherished dear ones. So really, really cool. Of course, this project, as intended, is for Valentine's Day 2025, but you could always interpret it, not cut out the words, and give it as a birthday gift, you know, a date night gift, anything like that. So always, again, options and creative ways to use a design. But I hope in some way, shape, or form I have inspired you guys to go out in your garage or workshops and make a handmade gift for your significant loved ones. But really, really cool. Had a lot of fun in today's video, and I hope you guys like watching me make today's video. If you're new to the channel, hopefully you'll click that subscribe button, and also follow me across all my social media feeds under the Artisan Pirate name. As always, links to contact me as well as all my social media feeds will always be linked down in the description box below these videos. That's about all for this one, and remember guys, if I can make it or do it, so can you. I'm the Artisan Pirate. Take care, and I'll see you guys real soon.